Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Rachel and I go to Edinburgh University, and today I'm going to be discussing the ever-present debate about what is better for uni students / college students, MacBook or iPad. So my thoughts have always been pretty clear on this, but I know a lot of people who very much disagree with me. So I'm going to be looking into it in a bit more depth, talking about the specs of my MacBook, also my iPad. Me and Tay share this one at the moment, hence why it's black. If it was my choice, it would be pink, but no. So first of all, I'm just going to be reeling off a little list about what I'm going to be talking about. So obviously, I'm going to go into the specs of both. I think this is the iPad 6, which literally came out in 2018. Now 4 years doesn't seem like a long time, but when you put that into the Apple timeline, that is a long time ago. So I personally am actually considering getting the iPad Pro, but I'm not sure. Like the 2021 version, I think. I personally still love this for now, so I'll be looking into the specs of all of that, just in case you are considering getting an iPad. I don't know if that makes sense. Who knows? As well as that, I'm going to be looking into just the practical applications of both, the slightly more tech practicalities, and then also the little itty bitty bits that we all like to personalize them, little bits that we all like. Practical applications, personalization, and tech applications. So, MacBooks. Let's discuss what specs, applications it comes with, whatever. Applications, oh how fancy, apps. So you can get it in 3 colours, the gold, which I would personally say is rose gold. But they call this gold, it's not, it's rose gold. Because this is what mine looks like. Other people also refer to it as rose gold, so call it what you will. But yeah, so gold, space grey and silver. Retina display, 13.3 inch. On the diagonal, that is. LED backlit display. These are basically things that you could basically just guess. 16:10 aspect ratio. These are things you don't really need to know. It does have the Touch ID, which I very much enjoy because I just forget all my passwords. It has a Core i3. Can that be changed? Ah, you can change it. Okay, what do I have? Ah! So I have the 1.1 gigahertz, I think that's what it's called, dual core Intel Core i3 processor, 256 gigabyte storage. I don't know if that's actually, oh yeah, configurable to 512 gigabytes, 1 terabyte or 2 terabytes. But thing is obviously it goes up in price each time. So in my opinion, it is cheaper to just get the smallest one and then get a hard drive. That's what I do, or alternatively just keep it organized. Unless you need everything on there, just keep on going through and deleting things. Like I'm not gonna need my MTH 1103 essay in 6 years time. So once that's all sent off and it's been about a month and no one's asked me for it again and I've got my mark back, I delete it. Battery and power, up to 11 hours wireless web, up to 12 hours Apple TV app movie playback. So obviously stuff uses more power, so that's just things to kind of put it into perspective. Up to 30 days of standby time. 30 watts USB-C power adapter and USB-C power port. Size and weight, you don't need to know the exact ones because genuinely you'll be like, why the heck are you telling me this? So it's quite hefty, but it's also extremely light. So put it this way, this is, how do I explain it? This is much lighter than my HP one that I had when I was like 13, but it's not like light. Do you get what I mean? Very easy to just slip into your bag. So I don't think we need to go into graphics and all that. The camera for FaceTime is 720p. It's not the best. I know they've worked on that since with like the new iMac, because obviously that was built to support the pandemic. So they wanted things like Zoom and FaceTime for all like video calls and stuff and meetings to be the best quality possible. So obviously they put that to 1080, I think. So that's really good. But the thing is that this was built before the pandemic. Literally just before the pandemic, but it was before. So they haven't focused on that. So this is just 720. Not the best, but it does the job. 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports. So that's but yeah, so not a USB, but a little bit smaller. That can be a problem. However, I'll just actually show you. This little thing that I just showed you actually has a USB, not a USB-C, literally just USB there. So they're only a few pounds on Amazon, like you get 2 in a pack usually. But yeah, it just allows me to do things like plug in my camera and not have to do everything wirelessly, because sometimes it is just easier with a wire, it's just quicker. This has really helped. Also when I want to plug in my phone and things like that, yeah, just these are kind of a must, but they're really not that expensive, so I would just suggest getting some. I will put a link in the description for them. Oh, and you can also get them in colours to match your MacBook. I had ones that matched mine, Tay had ones that matched his, but now I have to use his because I lost mine. Keep them in the case, guys. Backlit Magic Keyboard, it's got a trackpad obviously, so it has things like Siri, text to speech, obviously has those iMovie, GarageBand, Pages, Numbers, Keynote, Siri, whatever. And everyone says that having Pages is a disadvantage over Word at uni, but genuinely it's not, because you can just export it to Word. And then with most things, once you go to submit something, you can just check that it's not changed the formatting, and usually it doesn't. Like 8-9 times out of 10 it doesn't change anything, so it's really not that big a deal. And if you think it is, do it as a PDF, then it basically can't change the formatting, I don't think. So in the box you get obviously the MacBook Air, a 30-watt USB-C to USB-C power adapter, and the cable, which is 2 meters apparently. Seriously, the rest of it isn't important, it goes into like mathsy things, you don't need to know that. But yeah, so that is my MacBook. Let's go to Practicalities. It's simple to use, so if you're not like techie, it really doesn't matter. It's so simple to learn how to use. There's videos everywhere on YouTube if you struggle on one thing. The best thing, in my opinion, is that if you have a friend who's very techie and you cannot for the life of you figure out what it is, if they have a MacBook, you can get them to control your MacBook from a distance, which in lockdown is what I did with Tay, because when I wasn't that interested, well, I was interested but I wasn't very good at like tech and stuff, I was like, Tay, help me, and he controlled my MacBook from a distance, so that was amazing for me. But yeah, there's always a solution if you have a problem. Super simple. It's really quick to charge, which I know shouldn't really make a difference, but it really does. Like if you've got a deadline and you're so close to the deadline, it's like, for example, if I've had a little submission, just a tiny one, and I've missed it and I'm like, oh my god, that's due in like half an hour, then I can just immediately go, right, plug it in, off we pop. But like sometimes I'll have it and then it'll run out and be like, no. And then with a lot of laptops you have to wait for it to charge up before you can use it. No, put it in, it's coming back on, all good. So that's really helpful if you are even the slightest bit unorganized at times. Like it's just a lifesaver. And also if you're in the middle of a lecture and it runs out, if you have like a power source somewhere, you can plug it in and you'll be back up in seconds. So hopefully you'll have only missed a minute or two of lecture notes. It's not very chunky at all. It's super thin, like it's so thin. And so you can just slide it into a bag. Like most bags, like totes and stuff that are made for uni students and backpacks and stuff, most of them do have little laptop cases, so they all fit in there, no problem. It's super small, it's smaller than most laptops, so it fits like everywhere. And it's really not very heavy either. So techie applications, powerful enough to support most things you will need as a student. So obviously things like Pages, Word, whatever, because you can download Word onto it. It's just that Pages is free and sometimes you have to pay for Word if your uni doesn't do that for you. But yeah, it would support almost any program you need. The amount of editing I do online with iMovie, and it supports all of that, and I'm on it all the time. And also, as soon as it starts to lag, restart it. It takes, you could have it on standby for days and it will only start to lag after about 4 days of it being on standby. Then you restart it and it's super fast again. So issues like that are so easily resolved. As I was just saying, it's super quick. Unless your Wi-Fi is the slowest thing in the world, there will not be any waiting around with it. Like, it's so speedy. Range of storage options to fit what you might use it for. As I was saying earlier, I have the 256, so I've literally got the smallest and I use this so much, but I just stay organized with it. I have got a little tiny hard drive in case I need it. You could get a bigger one and have it all on there, but yeah, it's That is more than enough, personally, in my opinion. Literally the smallest size of it is more than enough. This is also super compatible with most, if not all, Bluetooth devices, but it also has the circular headphone jack. So some people might say that's a bit weird, and I was one of those people, but as I got more devices, I realised that because quite a few of my products aren't Apple, things like headphones, like for example mine are here, these, they can be Bluetooth if you take this wire out, but these are Sony, so you can just plug that straight in. No issue there. So it is actually better than you think. That little audio jack actually does come in super handy. Yeah, and then finally it has a range of colours. So it has those 3 colours, the gold, the space grey and the silver. You can also personalise the icon like on other ones and the background. I'm sure you can personalise, I think I might be doing this soon actually, because I'm going to do a full refresh of my MacBook. When you're on your desktop you can personalise the little folders, I think, so that'll be cool. There's so much you can customise with it. You just have to delve a little bit deeper into YouTube and be like, how do I do this? So yeah, there's instructions everywhere no matter what you want to do. So in my opinion, MacBooks are amazing. They're great for every single thing you want to do. I mean, even when they're quite old, they're basically looking brand new. Like, I've had this for nearly 2 years and it is the same as when I first got it. So it takes a long time for them to run like low on things. So this is the iPad 6 in the gold colour, which is my MacBook. Again, it looks more like rose gold, but we're just gonna brush over that. So the technical specs for this, and just little itty bitty things, are it comes in silver, gold and space grey again. You can get it in 32GB or 128GB. Personally, with this I would actually suggest getting the higher one unless you are super organised, because it's a little bit more difficult to put things onto a hard drive. It's not that difficult, but if you're not techie, I would suggest just going for the higher one. It's super light, like this, I so should not be throwing that around, but it is super light, super thin, easy to fit places, like that's all good. It does have Touch ID, which is super good. Great speakers, a lightning connector, it's not USB-C or anything, it's literally just the lightning one. A USB power adapter, so just use your, like your phone, so if that one, because sometimes you can bend the wires and stuff and they go all dodgy, or you can just use your phone one, it's not a big deal. A 9.7 inch on the diagonal LED backlit multi-touch display with IPS technology. 2048 by 1536 pixel resolution. Supports Apple Pencil. Fingerprint resistant oleophobic coating. It has the A10 Fusion chip with 64-bit architecture, embedded M10 co-processor. So it's not the M1 obviously, but it has got quite a good processor still. It's got an 8 megapixel camera, it can do live photos, it has autofocus, panorama, HDR for photos, exposure control, burst mode, tap to focus, time mode, 5-element lens, auto image stabilization, body and face detection. Literally it has so much on there, it's barely missing anything. 1080p HD video recording, has slow-mo, time-lapse with stabilization, video image stabilization, body and face detection again on video, 3x video zoom and video geotagging, as well as photo geotagging. The FaceTime HD camera is 1.2 megapixel photos, which is obviously quite a lot less than the actual camera. 720p HD video recording. Yeah, it does have still quite a bit, but I am so sorry if this is a completely different angle now. My camera ran out of storage. I know what we're up to. We were going over the camera. So obviously it has FaceTime and all that. Slightly less quality than the normal camera, but as is any FaceTime camera. Apple Pay, has it all basically. Has Siri, 32.4 watt hour rechargeable lithium polymer battery. Has anybody watched that Food Wars and they go through all of like the ingredients, because that's what I feel like. iOS 12 is the operating system. All the usual built-in apps like camera, photo, messages, FaceTime, mail, music, Safari, maps.
Siri, calendar, iTunes Store, App Store, Notes, voice notes, contacts, books, home, reminders, stocks, clock, TV, news, photos, podcasts, measure, find my phone, find my friends and files.
But yeah, so basically those are all the specs for an iPad. Some of those were completely unnecessary to say, but one of my other passions alongside like videography, photography, techie stuff, performing arts, all of that is fashion and beauty, clearly, because I'm obsessed with clothes and earrings and whatever. So my favourite app on here is Adobe Illustrator. Obviously I use things like Lightroom for my Instagram and all that. Basically I'm a bit obsessed with like Adobe apps, but Illustrator is the best thing known to man, in my opinion, for costume designers and anyone doing any sort of graphic design, because you can take things like outlines of models, like when people draw models to draw clothes on, you can like find one on Google and then like vectorize it and then just use it as your own. Like, it's, if you can't draw people and you are a fashion designer, it's just a saviour. Yeah, so that's my favourite app, but I think you can also get things like, let me have a little Google. Notability, yeah, $8.99. I don't know what that is in the UK. I don't even know if you can get it in the UK, but I'll put alternatives if you can't. Note Shelf is apparently a good one, which is $10. Good Notes, which is $7.99. Apple Notes, which is free, obviously. And then there's quite a few more, but if you just do some Googling and some research, you can find others. My problem, however, with note-taking on an iPad is that because I mean, you'll have the same problem if you're left-handed, but even being right-handed, I lean here, so I do that, and then I'm like, oh, I'm messing up all my notes beneath it if I need to go back and do something. So personally, I don't like taking notes. However, I know that Tay does, because Tay takes them for his maths lectures. But yeah, so that's a little bit more difficult with taking notes. However, I imagine it is easier for maths than on a laptop. But you could also just use paper if you didn't want to buy an iPad, so yeah. Another little accessory that I have though that makes it so much easier is, even though it's a bit broken, we need a new one, the cheaper version, even though these are still quite expensive, so you really don't need one, but the cheaper version of the Magic Keyboard. But yeah, you can get such cheap alternatives in comparison to the Magic Keyboard and all of that, so yeah, don't waste £300 on a Magic Keyboard, or however much it is, because you can get alternatives. But yeah, and I'm sure you can probably get alternatives to the Apple Pen as well. We just happen to have this, so yeah. Yeah, note-taking on an iPad, I think, must be incredible for things like maths and all of that, and graphic design, things like that, amazing for. But then if you have like more literary English-based notes, then I would say probably better to type. Time for a little comparison with my MacBook. So, simple to use, not too complicated. Same as an iPad. Same with most, if not all, Apple products. It's not quick to charge. I don't know whether that's because it's slightly older now or what, but I imagine that newer ones probably are quicker, but it's not very quick to charge, and it blows through the battery super quick. Well, with what I need to use it for anyway, so again, not too chunky, you can slide into any bag, and you can get loads of cases for it. It's powerful, but not powerful enough to support everything you need, I think. I think maybe if you got the newer ones, it probably would be. Yeah, it almost definitely would be with a newer one, but with this one in particular. So iPad Pro 2021 probably would support it all. This one doesn't really. It supports all the apps individually, but possibly not all together. It is still extremely quick. You can have so many tabs open on Safari and it still runs just as quick as it does if you had one open. Like, as pretty much all Apple products, super quick. There is again a range of storage options, not quite as many, but still 2 or 3 I think. And again, a range of colours, exactly the same as the MacBook: gold, space grey and silver. And like, again, with any Apple product, you can personalize it, the background, icons, whatever. I think probably maybe things like Widgetsmith and all that would probably work to customize it. So I think my suggested iPad would probably be the iPad Pro 2021, not the bigger one, the slightly smaller one, which I think is 11 inches. Yeah, I think that would possibly be your best bet, as I'm almost certain it has an M1 chip. Yes, an M1 chip, uses latest iOS. It basically has everything that you will need, and it's powerful enough to support everything together. It's also compatible with obviously Apple Pens, Magic Keyboards, whatever. So personally, that would be my suggested iPad. That just isn't the one that I've got. I am thinking of investing in a new iPad, but we shall see. We might save that for a future purchase. Yeah. Also, something that students don't really realise is that you can actually get quite big discounts if you just wait for things like student sales and whatever. On Apple, like when I got my MacBook, I got I think it was 10% off and a free pair of AirPods, so that was an amazing deal. That personally was the better option for me at the time, and I'm glad that I went for this and not the iPad, because that doesn't work quite as well for me for most things. The MacBook works better for me for 90% of my things. So if we're looking at the basic differences, we have, let's look at just these. So for the MacBook, it is simple to use, quick to charge, not very chunky, powerful enough to support pretty much everything, extremely quick, a range of storage options, a range of colours, and you can personalise it. Now if we're looking at the iPad, it's simple to use, again, not very quick to charge, but it's not chunky at all, can fit everywhere. For the most part, it's powerful enough to do most things. It's extremely quick, range of storage options, again, not quite as many, but still quite a few. Again, a range of colours. In the iPad Pro version, as far as I know, there's not as many colours, but I could be wrong about that. And again, you can personalise it all. However, the main difference is that on a MacBook, it's more difficult to do maths-based work, but on an iPad, it's more difficult to do English-based work, for me personally. In my opinion, the MacBook would win. So just a little thing that I want to put at the end of this video is you don't actually need either of these. It's a big investment when you could get something for much cheaper. I just personally am a bit of an Apple addict, so yeah. But if you actually can't be bothered to spend the money on a laptop or an iPad or a MacBook or anything at all, especially if you go to Edge Hill University, don't know about other ones, but at Edge Hill specifically, I know that you can actually just rent out laptops. So that's always a great alternative. But yeah, so you don't need either of this, but it is a question I get asked a lot as someone who is a bit obsessed, maybe a little bit too obsessed with my techie gadgets. So yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. Also remember to go follow my Instagram. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye.